Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the second grade concept of geometry, specifically how we could identify and classify two-dimensional shapes, and we'll do it in 5 minutes or less. So we are going to move past our triangle because we're all familiar with triangles and what they look like, three-sided shapes. I want to look at a larger category of shapes that are two-dimensional, that means they're flat, and they're called quadrilaterals. So when you see quadrilateral, you should be looking at those first four letters, quad, because that means four. So within this large category of quadrilaterals, we have a whole bunch of different shapes. So we have rectangles. Those are quadrilaterals. We also have squares, which are very similar to rectangles. The difference is all four sides are the same length, and so we can write square, but we also have a few other shapes. We have a rhombus. So a rhombus has four sides that are the same length like a square, but they just don't have the right angles or the square corners. And then we also have a parallelogram. So parallelogram has got two sets of parallel lines. It's kind of like, think of it like a rectangle, but it's tilted or slanted. You see the word parallel in parallelogram. And then finally, we've got trapezoid. I'm going to draw two different trapezoids for you, just because sometimes we tend to think this is the only type of trapezoid, and we get messed up when we see a different type of trapezoid. These trapezoids have just one set of parallel lines, the top and the bottom. The other two are not parallel. But this is also a trapezoid. If you look at it like this, and rather than that other line being slanted, you could have some square corners here. But it's also a trapezoid. So that's what we call quadrilaterals. These are four-sided shapes. So I'm just going to put 4 right there. So let's look at pentagons. So pentagons are 5-sided shapes. In your traditional pentagon, your regular pentagon is just going to look something kind of like this. It's going to kind of look like a house or something like that. It's going to have 5-sided shape, maybe like home base if you're playing baseball. But you can also have some really strange shapes. So take a look at this shape. This is not any normal traditional shape that we would think of, but if you look at it, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 5-sided shape, which means it's a pentagon. Also, you've got a strange shape like this, which is also doesn't have any particular special name like a parallelogram or rhombus, but it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides, which means it's a pentagon. So make sure you're counting the number of sides. Next, we have two polygons that both start with an H. Hexagon is a 6-sided polygon, and heptagon is a 7-sided polygon. We don't see many heptagons. Hexagon, think of that X, and that's going to go with the X in the number 6. And so obviously we can draw all kinds of strange shapes as long as we're counting the sides, and we're going to be able to know it's a hexagon. But if you've ever played with pattern blocks, you know that there's a yellow shape. That is a hexagon. It's got 6 sides. Heptagons, like I said, are not very common, but if you wanted to draw maybe an arrow like this, like a 3-dimensional arrow or a fat arrow, if you look at it, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sides. So heptagon has got 7, hexagon has got 6. So now we have two final shapes to look at. A decagon is like this star down here. Let's count the sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So decagons have 10 sides. And that prefix dec, D-E-C, is actually what we see in decimal, which uses tens, the decimal place value system. So decagons are 10-sided shapes. And then dodecagons. So we have it looks like the word decagon. It just has the do in front of it. Let's count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Dodecagons have 12 sides.